Welcome to Lesson 12, which covers pages 74 to 76 of the Automate the Boring Stuff with Python book. Thanks for making it this far. You've learned a lot of programming concepts, and you might be thinking, this is interesting and all, but when are we going to actually start writing programs? In this lesson, we're going to use our programming knowledge to make something fun. We'll create a guess the number game that looks like this. Here's the complete program. I'm just going to press F5 to run this, and it prints out, "Hello, what is your name?" I'll type in Al. "Well, Al, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20. Take a guess." I'll just try 10. Now that guess is too high, so take a guess. How about 5? Now that's too low. How about 8? Now that's too high. 7? Now that's too high, so I guess it must be 6. And then it says, "Good job, Al, you guessed my number in 5 guesses." In this game, you'll only get about 6 guesses to get the number correct. So if I keep guessing incorrectly, say 10, 10, 10, it'll eventually say, "Nope, the number I was thinking of was 6, or whatever random number it was thinking of. So you may not realize it, but you already know everything you need to make this game. But it can be hard to figure out how to put all these concepts together, so we'll go through step by step how to make a complete program. First, let's think about what we want this program to do. At the start, it says, "Hello, what's your name?" and it lets you type in your name. Then it tells you that it's thinking of a random number between 1 and 20, and then it seems to enter this loop where it constantly asks you to take a guess, and then tells you if your guess is too high or too low, and then it loops back and asks you to take another guess until you've actually guessed it correctly. At which point it'll say, "Good job, Al, you've guessed the number in however many guesses it took." So it's going to keep track of how many guesses you've taken. Or if you've taken too many guesses, it'll just give up and go ahead and tell you what number it was thinking of. Keeping all that in mind, we'll just do it step by step. First, I'm going to start it off with a comment just to describe what this program is. This is a guess the number game. And let's see, so we have to come up with a random number, so that means we're going to need the random module, so let's import the random module. We'll use that for the randint function that'll come up with a random number. Let's see, at the very start of the game, oh yeah, ask for your name, so print "Hello, what is your name?" We'll have to call the input function to let the user type in their name, and I guess we'll want to store that in a variable since we'll use it later, so we can say name equals input. The name variable stores whatever string they typed in, and then we can greet that player by saying print, "Well, whatever your name is." So use string concatenation to create that string. I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20. Let's actually generate that number. We'll call it secret number, and we'll call the random module's randint function and pass it 1 and 20 to tell it to give us an integer, a random integer between 1 and 20, including 1 and including 20. So that'll get stored in a variable called secret number. So now we want to enter that loop where it asks the player to guess up to 6 times, or guess a number, and then it tells us if that guess is too low or too high. Since we wanted to specifically loop a certain number of times, let's use a for loop. So we can say for, and then a variable for this. Let's say guesses taken in range, and we could have in range 6, but let's actually have this, instead of starting at 0 and going up to but not including 6, let's have it start at 1 and go up to but not including 7. We're using that 2-argument form of the range function. The benefit of using a for loop like this is, well, we have whatever code here, but then afterwards we can always say something like print "you took guesses taken guesses," or something like that. The variable guesses taken will have an accurate number of the number of guesses that the player took. I'm just going to push this code down there for now. Let's add the code that goes inside this loop. First, we ask the player to take a guess, And we need to get some input from the player, so we'll have to call the input function and store this in a variable. We'll just say the player's guess is stored in a variable named guess. But the user will be typing in some number, and input returns a string, so we're going to want to convert that to int by passing it to the integer function. That's because we're going to have something like, if their guess is less than the secret number, in order for this code to work properly, both of these have to be integers. And so secret number is an integer because this function returns integers. And in order to properly compare this, we have to make guess also an integer. So that's why we pass whatever this input returns to int, and then this will evaluate to an integer version of whatever they typed in. So if guess is less than the secret number, we have to tell them your guess is too low. Else if the guess is larger than the secret number, we'll tell them your guess is too high. And then we can have an else clause right here, because the only other possibility is that guess is directly equal to the secret number. If they correctly guessed it, we'll want to just break out of this loop and then proceed on to the rest of the program. And that's the entire loop. If they've guessed too low, it just prints this, and then moves past this if else statements, and it reaches the end of the loop, so it goes back to the start and asks them to take another guess. Same thing if they guess too high. So when this loop ends, it'll either be because they've gone through all 6 iterations of the loop and it broke out naturally, or because this break statement caused the execution to break out of the loop prematurely. We can tell which one it is because if it broke out of the loop prematurely, that'll be because the value in guess is the same as the value in secret number. It's because they guessed it correctly. Let's add a little comment here to remind us of this. Correct guess. Yeah. So we're either going to show them the good job, you guessed it in however many guesses, or the nope, the secret number was actually whatever it was. We'll show one of those two messages depending on if guess is still equal to the secret number or not. So we could say something like if guess equals secret number, print out good job, whatever your name is. You guessed my number in guesses taken, guesses. So we tell them how many guesses that took. Of course, this is an integer value, remember, so in order to do string concatenation, we're first going to have to convert it to a string. We pass the value inside guesses taken to the string function, which then returns a string value version of guesses taken, and then we can use that to concatenate it to all of these other strings. However, if guess is less than or greater than secret number, which would be the case if this loop broke out naturally, and if guess is not equal to the secret number, we'll display a message like, nope, the number I was thinking of was, and then we'll display the secret number. Remember, of course, secret number is an integer, so we'll need a string instead, so call the string function. And then we'll just get rid of this line. Let's test this out. I'll just press F5 to run it. Hello, what is your name? My name is... Well, blah blah blah. I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20. Take a guess. So I can say 10. That's too low. So how about 15? That's too low. 18, too high. 16, too low. 17. Good job. You guessed my number in 5 guesses. Is that right? Yeah. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guesses. That's great. Okay, but we want to make sure that this entire program works. Let's purposefully lose just to make sure that this game handles that case appropriately. So take a guess, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then after this 6th guess, it should naturally proceed on with the rest of the program. And it says, nope, the number I was thinking of was 20. And that's because here, guess was the last guess I added, which was 1, and that's not equal to the secret number, which was 20, so that's why the else clause executes. So that's it. That's a pretty simple game. If you ever just need to test it out, you can also temporarily add some code just to help you make sure it's working correctly. So I could add code that says, say, print debug. Secret number is, and then just tell me what the secret number is. And I can take this code out later, but for right now, it'll be good just so that I can say, oh, okay, the secret number is 17. So if I guess 17, that should work. Or in this case, the secret number is now 19, so if I enter 20, it should say that guess is too high. Oh, that's right. And if I enter 18, it should say that guess is too low. Okay. And then once you're done and you want to show this program off to your friends, you can just remove that code. But that's it. That's all of these concepts are things that we've gone over in the previous lessons. Importing functions, print and input, assignment statements, doing for loops, converting to integers or to strings, and then also if, elif, and else, and break statements. All of this is just taking all of these concepts that we've learned and just mixing them all together, kind of like following a recipe and cooking up a meal from ingredients.